Hello and welcome back to Sleep Talkin with Doze. I'm Isabella.
I'm Rahul.
And today we've got our expert Sasha Spencer on.
Hi guys.
Yo.
She'll be helping us with all our topics today. We've got sexsomnia, sex dreams and wet dreams. So first of all, Sasha, how did you sleep last night?
I actually slept, I want to say, for about 11 hours. I did a big chunk. I think it was the night before I only got 5, so I went to bed at 10 yesterday and literally slept like a log the whole way through.
Had a little reset of the, sleep schedule.
I needed a reset.
I wish I could say the same. Obviously we were out and about, but I think I got about 6 hours, which is actually more than I've had a lot of the other nights. This week hasn't been the best week at all for sleep.
Not a good.
I wouldn't be able to function like less than 8 hours. I cannot.
I know.
I've got used to it. I feel like I'm just used to it now. Like before university, I'd need my 8 hours, and if I had like a night where I'd get 4 hours, gosh, I'd feel it the next day. But now I actually feel okay.
I am honestly the same. Like, I had such poor sleep. To be fair, the whole week it has just been really bad. I know we said yesterday it was something in the air. No one was sleeping.
No one had a good night's sleep.
It was just something bad. But
apart from Henry.
Yeah.
It's always Henry.
Apart from Henry. Henry has never had a bad night's sleep in his life. There's just something different about him. But yeah, we were out, didn't get to sleep, but it's okay. I feel like I almost am used to this now.
Yeah.
Just running on adrenaline.
Yeah, I'm going out tonight as well, so it'll be interesting. See how I survive the night.
Hold up.
Yeah.
Do you find that you guys need a nap? Like, do you get tired at like 3 or?
If I'm like at home, I'd probably feel like maybe I need to have a nap, and I don't, because then I'm like, if I nap now, there's not a single chance of me getting even a couple hours.
Yeah.
So I don't. I do sort of feel myself getting tired. If I'm out day like this, it's so fine. Once I'm up, I'm like, adrenaline's running. And do you know what? I knew we had the podcast, so it was all okay.
It's gonna be a good day.
I was excited.
Yeah, I try not to nap, but there are times where it's like I'm gonna have a nap when I go home today, because it's like I need it, otherwise I won't.
We can tell.
We know.
Thank you.
Well,
very kind of you.
Well, we'll start with our first topic. So we've got sexsomnia, which before speaking to Sasha and before reading your article, I honestly had no clue about.
I had no idea about it until I came across it either.
It's not really spoken about, it's not talked about. And can you give us just sort of like a little explainer of what it is?
Of course. So sexsomnia is essentially a form of parasomnia, and it happens when your brain is kind of caught between different stages of sleep, and it's essentially where you will kind of engage in sexual behaviour whilst in a sleepwalking state. So that can be masturbating, that can be kind of self-gratification, but it also can involve a partner, and that's when it starts getting a little bit tricky, because obviously that partner hasn't consented. But it's very rare. Obviously sleepwalking is really rare in adults. It only affects about 1 to 2% of the population, but yeah, it's a very misunderstood area of sleep.
Yeah, it's something I sort of didn't have a clue about. I mean, I've heard of sleepwalking and, you know, people doing that, don't wake them, all of this.
Yeah.
But again, that is really rare. Is this, if you have to have sort of sleepwalked before to have this, is this a sort of subsection of it?
Well, the issue is there's no cause for sexsomnia, as in there's no cause for sleepwalking as well. So it's kind of where like parts of your brain that are most likely active is like those responsible for movement. Obviously memory is completely diminished, that's not obviously there, but there's no like prerequisite. Yeah, there's no like pre-existing conditions which lead to sexsomnia or sleepwalking. Anyone can have it, which is obviously a little bit scary.
Can I ask, how did you come across this? Like,
I think I came across it by a news article, and there was actually this woman, and she went to the police, reported an assault where she said she'd been raped. And the police came back to her and said, oh, do you know what, we think you've got sexsomnia. And so that case didn't go to court. And I was thinking, oh, like sexsomnia, that's such a weird thing. And I kind of went down a little bit of a rabbit hole, like researching into cases of sexsomnia. And I pretty much found that over the past about 3 years, there's been a very big incline in people claiming they've got sexsomnia, specifically in rape cases.
And are they claiming this themselves, or is it the lawyers? Because like I said, I would have absolutely no clue about it at all. Are they going there and then the lawyers are advising this, or what's happening?
It's a real mix, because you get some people that have generally like woken up. Like there was this man, his name was Dale Kelly, and this happened in 2019, and he was acquitted of sexually assaulting his friend's partner. So they'd gone on a night out, he got incredibly drunk, he was staying at the couple's house, and then he entered the bedroom at some point in the night and groped his friend's partner. And he kind of woke up during this like instance, and he had absolutely no idea what was happening. It was as if he'd just been waking up from a sleepwalking episode, and his friends were obviously in complete shock, and they went to the doctors, and he said, like, please, can you tell me what's happened? And in that instance, it was a doctor saying, well, maybe you've got sexsomnia. But in a lot of cases, it's now lawyers saying, oh, okay, we're going to say this is under the automatism defence. So that's what sexsomnia is part of, is the automatism defence. And that's where you're not in control of your body. So it can happen, like if you're driving a car and you sneeze, that also is under the automatism defence.
Okay, yeah.
And now a lot of like lawyers are using this defence to obviously get their clients off major crimes.
Are there a lot of like real genuine cases where like sexsomnia has been the actual cause, but then in a lot of cases maybe people aren't as believing of that, or they don't believe into it?
I think the issue is there's now been a lot of kind of cases that have come to light where they found out it is fraudulent and there's actually no basis to it. Because the main issue is you can't prove sleepwalking, and you can't prove a sexsomnia episode unless you're linked up to I think it's an EEG. Yeah, unless you're linked up to an EEG, you have no definitive way of saying, oh, this person was sleepwalking. And obviously that's practically impossible.
You're not going to be linked up, you know,
when you're
at all times of the day.
Yeah. So that's when it gets a little bit tricky, because you can never fully say this person did or this person didn't. And obviously all you need is reasonable doubt. So a lot of people are getting acquitted of these crimes.
Yeah, it does sound complicated, because obviously that man, it sounds awful if you wake up in the middle of the night doing something you don't want to be doing, you're uncomfortable doing. That must be an awful experience. But on the other hand, there could be so many people that are using this as a get out of jail free card. So it just goes both ways of, it's a horrible thing, it's a horrible experience for both parties, but some people might sort of be
using it the wrong
way in the sense of the law.
100%. And there was major case was this man called Joseph Shaw. This happened in 2011, and he was found not guilty of raping someone who he was having a relationship with. And that's actually when a lot of sexsomnia cases usually happen, is with your partner in bed. If you're both naked in bed, the likelihood of it happening is significantly increased. And essentially he was obviously found not guilty of that rape, and then he went on to assault 2 more people, and one of them he claimed he was sleepwalking whilst on a bike chasing this woman down the road. So obviously you can see in those instances that that's not actually really what was happening, but he did manage to get away with 2 cases of rape using sexsomnia before people started like getting red flags.
It is a hard one. Like if I was on the jury, again, it has to be beyond reasonable doubt, and how do you ever prove that? So, you know, it's all up in the air, but some of these cases obviously sound awful. Yeah,
very harrowing.
It is, definitely. And obviously this sounds so scary and so bad, and there are other sort of things where you aren't in control of your body. We were sort of going on to like wet dreams and like sex dreams where, you know, you're not in control when you're dreaming. Unless you're lucid dreaming, you're not in control of what you're thinking about. So that is sort of not sexsomnia at all or anything, but this is another form of your animalistic needs coming into play.
Yeah, well, like the part of your brain which is like the most active when you're asleep, especially in cases of like sexsomnia and sleepwalking, is the part responsible for eat, sleep, fuck. So it's a lot of kind of primal instincts coming in, and that's when you do have things like wet dreams, and you do have things like sex dreams all coming in.
Yeah, because people will sort of claim they've had sex dreams about completely random people that in the day they would have never even thought about. Even passers-by, they might not have any connection, and they're like, why is this happening? And that's just sort of those, there isn't almost a reasoning behind it. That's, your brain isn't thinking in that way, that side of your brain isn't turned on. It's just the animalistic side that's awake because you're asleep.
And there is a link between sex dreams and sexsomnia. Like a lot of people who've reported they've had sexsomnia have said last thing they knew is that they were engaging in a sex dream, and then they woke up to see maybe a different person in a lot of distress waking them up. But it all kind of can start from a sex dream.
Yeah, But these aren't all negative ways, and not to scare
it's
people.
very rare. That's what I need to make sure. Like, obviously sleepwalking affects like 1% of the population. Sexsomnia is a tiny fraction of that as well. It is very, very rare.
Yeah, and if you're having a sex dream or a wet dream, that does not mean
you will be having sexsomnia.
That's okay.
That's not going to happen.
But there was sort of more to wet dreams. We thought about, like, when does it usually happen? Puberty are the main parts, aren't they?
It's often in puberty, and obviously it's often more men.
Yeah, it's like teenage boys sort of going through puberty is where you kind of hear about it most.
Yeah, I think it's 83% of men have said they've experienced a wet dream. I think it's only 37% of women have said they've experienced it, and that was all during puberty. So,
yeah, it is a thing that I think is more present in puberty and when you're going through those sort of changes.
Yeah, and sex starts being at the forefront of your mind and things like that. Yeah.
It definitely is.
Yeah, I think like from a lot of it, it's like, well, obviously your brain is changing, and it's a lot of it's like your curiosity and things like that. It increases. So I don't know if there's an actual link with that, but then it's like, is that part of the brain that a lot of it says it's your unconscious or your subconscious.
Yeah.
And that's where dreams stem from. So then it poses like a question where, is that the same part where sexsomnia and sex dreams happen as well? Is that all stemming from like a subconscious part of your brain?
I think it's just so under-researched. I think the issue is that a lot of this kind of situations when people are having like sex dreams or sexsomnia, you're not linked up to like EEGs, and you're not like in clinical situations. So people actually have no idea what's going on, realistically.
Yeah. And I think if you are, unless it's sort of sexsomnia, if you're having a weird sex dream about someone random, it could be someone that you just see in a cafe every day, or that works at Sainsbury's or something like that. Celebrity,
that's a big one.
Sometimes it just happens and there's no need to sort of overthink it or go into it too much. It just happens to people, and
then is it your unconscious or is it your conscious? Like, is this something like, is it part of your brain trying to tell you something, or is it genuinely like completely random? That's the thing.
And is there any way to even prove that?
I have no idea.
I think there's so many different things that I've done. So I did a piece on OCD, and it was talking about, so some people will have extreme OCD, like intrusive thoughts that are about paedophilia, and that like,
well, that's obviously unconscious,
and that's unconscious, and that's the worst thing that they could ever have, and it maybe gets worse at night, and they're like, is this in my subconscious, is this what I want? And they've gone to like psychologists, and they've been like, no, this has nothing to do with you, don't 100%. Worry, we can speak it through.
It makes you question yourself, I guess, because you've had that thought. So it's like, how could I have such a thought? And then you question it. So it's probably like quite a big thing.
I think if you're questioning it and thinking that it's a bad thing,
then it
that's
probably
a
shows,
positive. Yeah.
It probably shows you're not that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think if there's no concern behind it, that's when it's more, you know.
But if you have kind of situations where, like, say you cheat on your partner in a dream, then it's the kind of question of like, is that mean you've got an issue in your relationship?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it generally an unconscious, like, uncontrollable thought?
Yeah, and it might not even be specifically cheating. It's like, if sex dreams are such a huge thing, you don't know who you're having the sex dream with. It might not be cheating. You might just be dreaming of having sex with another person. And that is, if you were single, you have sex. It might be in your brain that you have sex with the person that works at Sainsbury's, or the person that runs the bakery, and there's no connection at all. They might just be the last person you've seen or thought about and gone into. Right, well, we're going to head on to our listeners' stories, which are semi-related to what we've been talking about today. We're going to have a little discussion. These are all anonymous, and just sort of what we think. So the first one: hey Doze, a bit of an awkward one, but I've been having repeated dreams where I cheat on my boyfriend. This started off as a one-off, but has become more and more regular, including the last 2 nights on the trot. They vary in who and how the cheating occurs, but I always end up sleeping with someone else. Originally, I didn't know the people I cheated with, but recently they have become people in my life, including one of my friend's brothers. I brought it up to my boyfriend jokingly the first time it happened, and he did not take it well. He looked confused and then visibly started spiralling, and even asked if I was happy in our relationship, to which I replied consciously I am. That also did not go down well. Does this have a deeper meaning? To make this worse, the reason I knew I was over my ex-boyfriend after months of pining was the most graphic sex dream of my life, with, of all people, his best friend, that culminated in such a vivid orgasm that it woke me up. Does this mean I'm over my current boyfriend, or am I just a serial sex dreamer?
Wow. Well, that goes back to the whole...
That is exactly what we were talking about. Yeah.
See, I think there's a little bit of conscious thought behind that, surely. I think it's more the repetition. And, like, fair enough if she is having, like, she has had sex dreams before, that is very fair. But I think it's when you know the person, and if she's repeatedly having these dreams about this specific person, so her friend's brother, I think that's when it can get a little bit... Maybe there's some sort of unconscious thought there.
Yeah. Maybe there is a sort of deeper meaning. This might just be... if she's slightly unhappy. It could be something in her relationship that she's unhappy about.
It could be the sex.
And she needs
it could be the sex in their relationship. It could maybe be lacking in that department, so she's using these fantasies to kind of fill that void.
Yeah.
But it also could be emotional. Maybe she's lacking that. But then if she seems happy in any other aspect and it is just these dreams, I wouldn't worry too much about them. I wouldn't worry.
That's what I was going to say, because then that might just genuinely be her subconscious or the part of her brain she can't control. It might spark a question to her, like, when like, normally, it might spark the question, do I actually like my boyfriend, blah, blah, blah. But I feel like you'd know if it was actually meaningful or not.
Yeah, I think you'd know in the day. And I think the fact that she could bring it up to her boyfriend means that if you were 100% set on this is what I want to do, and, you know, I feel this way, you probably wouldn't bring it up. But equally,
I think I'd be very, very secretive about it. I'd be like, don't want him to know, because it's like a little weakness.
But equally, on his behalf, how would you feel if someone was telling you that? Like, she said he was spiralling and asking, and he's sort of questioning, which is so fair enough.
Yeah,
but can he? How much should he look into this?
I think it's the repetition. Like, when it's been one time, and, like, I don't know, if a partner came to me and said, I had this sex dream yesterday about this person, I'd be like, oh, okay. Like, obviously I wouldn't be like, wow, that's great, but I wouldn't be, like, massively reading into it. If they were saying, I've been having repeated multiple sex dreams about this person, that's when I'd be a little bit like sirens.
If it was a specific sort of person,
We have another story. I'll read this one out. Again, it is anonymous. It says, hello Doze. AITA story here, which means am I the arsehole story. For context, I live in the middle of a village of no more than 100 people, so when I used to go on nights out in Knots, I had no real means of getting home. So my friends and I used to have a little side quest. Towards the end of our nights, normally like Rock City or Oceans, we would try and go back with a goal, solely for a place to crash. My thing was, though, I never wanted to have sex with these women, so I would always pretend to fall asleep or be ill. We weren't like awful people, but just don't really fancy a one-night stand. The worst of the experiences was when their mum tried to offer me breakfast thinking I was like a long-term situationship. Overall, I had lots of mixed reviews on whether I was taking advantage of them or just being smart. Let me know what you think.
I think, right.
This person sounds like an absolute twat.
I think they do. I think there's better ways to get about it. How much is an Uber? There's so many easier ways. But also, I think you're having sex with them? Well, are you taking advantage of them? No, if you're not having sex with them.
You're taking advantage of their house, of their hospitality.
He would get. Space. Can I just say he would get with these girls?
Oh, this could change it up then. So maybe it's taking advantage of their trust. They're thinking, right, this person kind of likes me. I'm bringing them into my house. I think it's more.
So it's a case of he's got with these girls. Sort of they've taken him back to theirs. I assume for one thing, which is sex, and he's then gone. He's then pretended to be ill or something, but he's doing that purely for a place to stay.
I think it would be worse if he really didn't want to, and then he did.
And then he slept with them.
That is bad, but I still think it is quite bad to take advantage, especially someone's house.
A guy back, and then you're like, oh my god, it's gonna be really fun, and then just realising they just want to sleep in your bed.
Yeah.
Because they have no way of getting home.
If it was like they genuinely just didn't want to have sex, that's so fine. Just want to cuddle, that's so okay. But if you are using it for the sole purpose of my house, pay some rent. Like, pay me some rent.
It's to be fair, from what it sounds like, this person was pretty good at it and it was effective.
I don't know if that's a good thing. That's not a good skill to have.
But it's not.
Is that a good skill to have?
I don't know. So this will lead into our right, wrong.
Should
it's
we
not
start?
right,
Should we
but
have
it's
this
okay.
as our first?
Yes.
We'll give it an answer.
And the first one is boy-girl mates sharing a bed.
Immediately no.
No.
Immediately, absolutely
no.
not.
I don't think that's bad.
If you're in a relationship, no. If you're not, you're single and these are your friends, so fine. But I think if you're in a relationship, no.
It's very, like, depends on the circumstance, but, like, I've had times where I've slept in the same bed as some of my boy mates, and it's like we've been on a holiday together and someone's got to share a room, like, multiple sexes, and we'll do that. And it's never once been a question of, like, oh, is something going to happen?
No.
Yeah.
But I do think if you're in a relationship and if someone's saying, I find that uncomfortable, you should be respectful.
That's what I agree with. I don't think it's wrong, but I think if your partner's saying they don't, because I had a conversation yesterday actually with the lovely Rhea Caven, and she was saying how her best mate from home is a boy and he's got a girlfriend, but like his girlfriend or whatever, it doesn't even come into question because they're just purely platonic.
I
and
think
they're purely
she knows
friends.
the girlfriend. Could you imagine if you're at uni, you're at home, and this is a random other girl, and you've just got to trust the fact that you don't see this friendship on a daily basis. You've got to just trust the fact that they're friends.
Yeah.
And I think it's so not weird. Like, I have boy mates at home that I've shared beds with, and it's been fine. Like, we've just either come on a night out and we've staying at one person's house, and it's like, right, who's going in what bed? And like, it's nothing strange at all. It's nothing weird. But I also think, whilst I'm in a relationship, I just wouldn't do that. Also, I know I wouldn't do anything.
So
and I know it's not weird.
Does it then come down to, for you, is it whether in a relationship or not?
Yeah, I think if you're in a relationship, I think it's just a bit of like respect. Even though I know myself that it just wouldn't. I think just for the sake of the other person.
Then sure, you could argue that if you're both single, then it's worse because you're both single. Yeah.
It is a higher likelihood, but if it does happen, then there's no consequences.
Well, maybe there is because you're like friends and it will ruin the friendship.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think when I was single, there wasn't any sort of chance of that happening because they're my friends, and even now, there's no chance of that happening. But out of respect, you'd just be like, no, just for that other person's peace of mind.
Why is it different to sharing a bed with one of your girlmates? You could argue if you just see them as a mate, like a mate's a mate.
I guess it is, but I think there is that sort of difference. How many times have you had friends that have just been friends beforehand and now they're together in a relationship?
Then I just think you wouldn't want to be in a relationship with that person. I think if, like, in my head, if something happens, if my partner did share a bed with a girl and then get with them, I'm like, well, that's not someone I want to be with anyway. And I think that's an immediate get out of there. Like,
it definitely is. So I don't think it's a trust thing because I know I wouldn't, and then I'd also trust like that my boyfriend wouldn't, but it would just sort of have you.
Do you think it's more of like a respect thing?
Yeah, I think it's just the respect of, unless obviously, if it's like a situation where there's no other chance, then of course. But like, if you're volunteering yourself straight away, why are you volunteering yourself straight away? Like, I think there's so many other chances.
If someone's like leaping at it, being like, oh, share it, I'd be a bit like, ooh. But I personally don't think
Right. Well, what's everyone saying then? I'm gonna say right.
I'm saying right.
I'm saying wrong.
Wow, so we strongly disagree.
I'm a strong disagree. If you're single, so fine. Like, boys and girls can be friends, but I think out of respect.
Okay, so our next one then is eating in bed.
I love it.
You love it?
I love it. My favourite thing is to eat in bed. Wow. Prop my laptop.
Are you talking a full meal though?
I'm talking like full English.
Oh,
in my bed, hungover, phenomenal.
I just can't get on board with that. Like a snack. Packet of crisps, something that's not going to go anywhere. Fine, something crisps, light.
No way. Like the crumbs in the bed, no chance. Full roast, like that's not going anywhere.
I just can't get on board.
I'm completely on.
I also think you need a separation. Don't you need to be sat up eating?
Yeah, but like you can be sat up in bed, and like if you're watching telly and like you've got your covers on you, I think I'd rather eat all my meals in bed. Can't lie.
I just couldn't. I need a separation.
I think you should separate your bed from
everything else.
Where you sleep and where you eat. I think they should be separated.
So you're never having a snack in your bed?
I don't think I would. Have a snack, like a hungover snack.
Even when I come back from a night out, I always just eat in the kitchen.
Like I eat little sweet treat in bed. You're watching, I don't know, Love Island or something.
I'd have
a bar.
Packet of popcorn, some sweets, something like that. But a full meal is not.
I don't think I genuinely don't
even
think
on the sofa, trying to have a full meal is like uncomfortable.
Yeah,
for
I
me.
think when
I want to be sat up.
When I'm eating, I want to be sat at a chair. I guess when you're like watching a film on the sofa, you can have like some snacks or whatever. If it's
maybe a takeaway, a bit of pizza or something.
I'll only ever be doing it if I'm watching telly. I'll never just be sat in my bed willy-nilly, like eating food.
I don't think I'd enjoy it, to be honest. Only time I used to do it was in first year, when it was like your bed was like your room was just consisted of your bed and your desk, and there was not. Yeah. But now I'd always just eat in the kitchen in the dining area. What about
if you're in like a studio apartment? I feel like something like that is probably even more like you need to separate it, because
definitely.
Like I think I just need the separation.
Yeah, I'm gonna say wrong.
Right.
I'm saying wrong. Yeah. Disagreeing.
All right. Okay. This one is it's not necessarily a case of like right but I think it's more down to opinion.
Okay.
Sleeping with multiple pillows.
This for me is like, it's not the sleeping with multiple pillows, it's the when you go to a hotel, there's 5 pillows and you know you're going to take them all off. They're all going to be on the floor. You're never sleeping with them.
I like make a little cocoon.
Sometimes I do.
Position them around me.
I do. I have 4 pillows on my bed, and I put them around me, but that's because I've got like a wall.
Yeah.
So I can make that. If I'm on a bed and like, even sometimes there's even as much as 6, and then there's like some decorative things that aren't even pillows. You can't put your head on that. Like, what is that for?
Yeah.
And I think it looks nice, but it is just unnecessary.
I sleep with 1 pillow, and it's like 2 inches thick. But I've also slept with multiple pillows. Like, I will interchange.
I can't. Say if I go to like a relative's to stay or something, and they have like loads of cushion on the bed, the first thing I'll do is just like push them all off. Like I'm firmly like 1 pillow to sleep with. Even like sometimes like doubling up, like so you have 2 pillows, so it's like a bit hard. Nah, I'm just 1 pillow and I'm fine.
So if you could, would you just have it so that at all times you just have your duvet and 1 pillow?
Even like on the double bed, you wouldn't even have like a second one next to it.
I have 2 pillows on a double bed, but I'll like sleep on 1 pillow. Dog. Exactly, one for dog. Shout out dog. But like when you have like loads of decorative pillows and stuff, it's just not for me. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think decorative. It's not bad. I'd go so. I'd say, it's not right, but it's okay. So it's wrong, or it's not right, but it's okay.
It's not right, but it's okay. But like, I like the visuals of it, but the practicality is always 1 pillow.
No, I just wrong. Yeah.
We haven't agreed yet.
I'm wrong. What am I? Wrong and right. Yeah, I'm wrong, right. Okay.
Okay, last one
is sleeping naked.
Never.
I actually tried this yesterday because I was speaking to my housemates about it, and I was like, they felt so passionately. I was like, oh no. Like before this, I was like, no. Like what? You don't need to. I'm not against it, but I was like, you don't need to.
I'm the other way.
Especially in a student house. Like, what happens if you need to go to the toilet? Different things going on. So I tried it.
Midnight game show going on.
Exactly. What happens if someone's coming in?
Well, we did kind of have that problem.
With a boy, it's not as bad though, is it?
Yeah. See, I used to be right, and I used to like think it's so nice just not having any clothing on, and you just felt like kind of free. But for boys, some boys may know. I had something called. Can I
I'm
say?
Scared. I'm worried about what you're about to say.
Can I say this?
I don't know what you're about to say, but go with it.
I had something called a testicular torsion.
Is that when your balls twist?
Yes.
Oh, wait, when?
The top 5 worst pains I've experienced in my lifetime. When
did you have this? Like at night, or you mean like
at night? I woke up in the middle of the night.
And your balls are twisted around.
Oh, even the thought. Oh,
that makes my tummy.
That just made me like had a tingle.
And so, and the way I heard like it happens is apparently sleeping naked, because there's like
too much movement.
Yeah, apparently that. And from then this might have been about, I think this was in like first year, and I think from then I never did it again. I was scared. That pain, oh my god, no.
I have to wear socks. I have to wear long trousers. I have to wear long like sleeve t-shirt. I have to have every single inch of my body completely covered. Otherwise, I will not be going to bed. I can't even wear shorts.
I'm like the opposite. I'm wearing as little like short shorts, but like flowy because I don't want anything tight, and then like a tiny top or like a really oversized baggy. Like t-shirt, I don't like too much on. But like I slept naked and it was like I was a bit cold at the start, to be honest. I don't know if it was in my head that I just didn't have clothes on because I can go to sleep wearing barely anything, so it's not like that's keeping me warm. But I just felt a bit cold and I was like, it just felt a bit strange. During the night it was fine, but like I think it was just a bit of getting used to.
What if you're getting burgled? Like what if there's a fire?
Yeah.
You've got to be ready.
Well.
Also, what's the issue between having clothes on or having really loose fitting? Do you know what I mean? There's no... I don't know. You just feel a bit comfy.
I know it's meant to be better for you, like, health-wise, and obviously down there and everything, but I just personally...
I just sleep in underwear because, like, I don't want to sleep in anything, but I don't want that happening.
Did they have to, like, surgically
No, no, not even. But I just woke up and it was, like, the worst pain I'd ever experienced. And then I didn't know apparently when it happens, you're meant to, like, call someone straight away and
really?
like
you're meant to like, immediately go to the doctors.
I didn't know that, so I just like firmed the pain.
And they had to surgically like change my mate's background when he did it.
Oh gosh, that is awful. I mean, practicality. I don't think it's a wrong thing. I think it's just like I've done it once. Maybe when I'm really hot.
Personally, it's completely wrong. But
so what are we going?
What are we saying? Then?
I'm a wrong.
I'm a right. Like I think it's okay. I wouldn't personally, but
so we're not agreeing again. So I don't know because I used to be right, but now
surely you've got to be wrong.
But yeah, I'm wrong. But
what about it's not right, but it's okay?
No, but
is it okay?
But it's not okay if that. No, it's wrong.
Right.
It's wrong.
It's wrong. Right. Wrong. So we've disagreed.
We've disagreed
for the fourth and final time.
And well, that's all we had, to be honest.
That is all we have for today. We hope you've really enjoyed. If you want any more about sleep, sexsomnia, we've got a piece up. How an orgasm can help you sleep, we've got a piece on that, and wet dreams, and also many more. It's not all just sex related. We've got anything to do with sleep, we've got it up there. And if you have any ideas you want us to explore or look further into, please let us know. But other than that, that is all for today. Follow our socials, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and head over to our website for more. But yeah, thank you, and thanks to our guest Sasha.
Thanks for having me.
Take care, guys.
Take care. Sleep well.
Bye.
Sleep well.
Good night.
Good